I am Aarote, Junior College Teacher, RBNB College, Rampur. Today we see the topic biodiversity, conservation and environmental issue. Previous lecture we show diversity. What are the diversity? Diversity means the variety of organism around the world or as an ecosystem. If we observe, microscopic to the macroscopic diversity will be found into the environment. Because why? So many type of the organism will be found surrounding to us, so they can form different type of the ecosystem into the particular climatic area or as a climatic condition. So this climatic condition, these type of the ecosystems will be developed. Suppose we see what type of the micro and macro organism will be found in this ecosystem. That is the some alga, some fungi, plants and animal. So this type of the micro and macro organisms are developed on the earth, and so they will be differ from each other by their shape, color, form, mode of nutrition, their type of habitats, reproduction, mortality, duration of life cycle. So these all things will be included in these particular organisms, and they will be live or they will be form their particular type of the ecosystem. So when we study about the ecosystem or the biodiversity, there are the various changes or variation between among the different organisms. It may be plants as well as animals. That is, different type of the variation can be seen in it. That is, species to species, genus to genus, animals to animal. So many type of the ecosystems are developed on the earth. From the ancient days, near about 3.5 million years, that is different type of the ecosystem are developed on the earth. They will be found into the different conditions, different localities all over the world. Best example, suppose we take best example for it in our country. In our country, so many regions or as a so many regions develop this so different type of the ecosystem. Because why? Within some area in our country, rainfall is very high, or some are, that is where the water rainfall cannot be found, where these are the drought condition. Between these conditions, so these species diversity are also different. Some are the where if we give visit to the Konkan area, in Konkan area their rainfall is very high, so their climatic condition or as a species diversity is again different. If we compare to the whole world about the diversity of the living world, in our country that is number is near about 15. Because why? Higher diversity can be found in our country and a lower diversity will be found into the New York. So suppose we understand about our country, so there different type of the diversity can be found. That is, temperature, region to region temperature will be changes somewhat. Some places temperature is very high, some places temperature is very low, that is the forming the snow or as ice. Between this, that is, some plants can be survived. But probably biodiversity and conservation we have need. Because why? In biodiversity and conservation, that is, the population of the human will be increases, so we have need to conserve this biodiversity or as a plants and animals. Best example, suppose we know about the Chipko Andolan. That is, in Chipko Andolan, that is the to cut the forest. That is, these peoples that is sticks to these trees, that is त्याला चिकटले झाडांना, आणि त्यांनी असं सांगितलं की जोपर्यंत आमच्या अगोदर मुंडके तोडा आणि नंतर आमच्या झाडांना तोडा. म्हणजे जवळजवळ 363 पीपल्स विल बी डाईड, और म्हणजे जवळ 363 लोकांनी त्यामध्ये आहुत्या दिल्या. नंतर त्या राजाला कळलं की हे चुकीचं आहे, जंगल वगैरे तोड, म्हणून त्यानंतर हे प्रकरण थांबवलं. म्हणजेच पीपल्स जे आहे, पीपल्स नो अबाउट दिस, दॅट इज दी टू प्रोटेक्ट द बायोडायव्हर्सिटी और ॲज ए फॉरेस्ट इज अन इम्पॉर्टंट फॅक्टर. देन अगेन एक बेस्ट एक्झाम्पल फॉर इट, दॅट इज व्हेन वी आर गोइंग टुवर्ड दी आसाम और एज ए ब्रह्मपुत्र region, Assam region, there are the name, that is Jadhav pine, it is known as the Vanapurush. He planted near about 500 acres in this. जवळजवळ हा जाधव पाईन आसाम किंवा ब्रह्मपुत्रा रिजनमध्ये आहे. त्याने जवळजवळ 500 एकरापर्यंत फॉरेस्टची लागवड केलेली आहे. एक झाडापासून सुरुवात केली, आज अव्याहतपणे ते झाडं लावत आहे. आणि तिथं इकोसिस्टीम अशा प्रकारची डेव्हलप झाली की सो मेनी टाईप ऑफ द इकोसिस्टीम विल बी डेव्हलप देअर बेंगॉल टायगर्स आर सीन देअर, एलिफंट्स आर सीन देअर, सो मेनी टाईप ऑफ द डिअर्स, हरिन्स, सो मेनी टाईप ऑफ द ॲनिमल्स आर ऑल्सो seen there. That is the biodiversity can be seen there. So suppose we see, if we see the definition of this biodiversity, it is the part of nature which includes the differences in the genes among the individuals. It includes the genes among the individuals because in diversity of this living organism, species to species, that is the diversity of living organism, that is unicellular to the multicellular organisms can be found or as can be seen. So we have need to again protect this diversity, because why? That is modern man or as a population will be increases there, that is cut off the forest or as a building or as a building the houses or as a building the roads or as so many developments, that is cut the forest, and these are the very dangerous to our country, because why? That is the population will be increases. To protect all these type of the population, so we have need to plant the plantation, or that is the play the role for the plantation. Previous government each and every year plays the role for the forestation, Vruksha Lava, Vana Mahotsav. These are the important plantation of the tree will be held. So between these, number of plants will be seen in these previous 4 to 5 years. म्हणजे वन महोत्सव म्हणून दरवर्षी जो सरकारने कार्यक्रम हाती घेतला होता, त्यामुळे बऱ्याच प्रकारच्या काही प्लांट स्पेशीज आहेत त्या आपल्याला इकडे तिकडे वाढवताना पाहायला मिळतात. याचा अर्थ काय झाला की नाऊ वी आर नोन ऑर एज ए, आपण आता अलर्ट झालो आहे, we are known that is the deforestation causes the so many type of the effect on the human being or as a nature, because why? The diversity of the living organism or species may be die, so many type of the plants get ends. It is known as endemic or endangered. Some plants and animals goes endemic and endangered. So we have need to protect it, to increase their number, to increase their population, to increase their ecosystem. So we have need, because why? Between the biodiversity, so conservation is an important. So this type of the life will be increases. So many type of the organism have need to grow, to develop their ecosystem on the earth. Here, suppose we see that is on there, so many type of the ecosystems are developed, but between these ecosystems, some important ecosystems can be found in a particular area or a particular region. Some barren area, that is Kutch, run of the Kutch, these are the very drought condition, that is rainfall is very less. Within some, that is deciduous ecosystems will be found, that is biodiversity. If we see the biodiversity, so many type of the ecosystem will be found there, because why? Naturally the ecosystem will be developed into the particular area. So this ecosystem we have need to protect or is preserve. So these are the main important aim of the peoples or as a, that is modern people, to develop the modern ecosystem in a particular area or particular climatic condition in our country, in our world. So to prevent the pollution of this ecosystem, so ecosystem to develop the new ecosystem in a particular climatic condition, so is an important. So today we see between this that is the level of biodiversity. We see that the level of biodiversity, what is the level of biodiversity? That is this diversity of living world can be observed at various level. This biodiversity of the living organism can be observed into the various level, ranging from molecular ecosystem, that is major hierarchical level and interrelated levels of genetic diversity, species diversity, that is the community, and ecosystem diversity, that is the ecological diversity. Suppose, because here we observe that is the various levels of the ecosystem can be found, that is the molecular level to the ecosystem level, that is the molecular level to the ecosystem level, from the major hierarchical, from lower to the major hierarchical level. These are as interested, or as these are very interested, like of the interrelated levels of genetic diversity, then species diversity, it is also known as the community diversity, and last is the ecosystem diversity or as a ecological diversity. In first point, if we see that is what is the genetic diversity. First, genetic diversity. What is genetic diversity? Genetic diversity is an intraspecific diversity. This diversity is the number and types as well as chromosomes present in different species, and also the variation in the genes and their alleles in the same species. It includes variation within the population. That is, these ecosystems is developed on the basis of chromosomes and alleles, because these are the variation between these species can be found. Their population and diversity will be found into these genes. So in between these population, adaptation to the local condition. What is adaptation to the local condition? Where suppose we take best example, when we see the temperature between the Nagpur region is very high, and in our Madhya Maharashtra the temperature is very less. Into the summer season, if the person of the Madhya Maharashtra will be that is give visit to the Nagpur region, that is the temperature is very high, this person cannot be survive very easily, because why? The adaptation is different between Madhya Maharashtra as well as Nagpur region. So each and every living organism get adapted into the particular climatic condition. It may be temperature is very low as well as very high. So between these, that is genetic diversity get adapted in this particular condition. Their adaptations can be seen, that is the when temperature is high as well as low, rainfall is high as well as very low. So these are the climatic condition. It may be depend on the climatic condition. So that is the genetic variation leads to the individual differences within the species. That is, then genetic variation leads to the individual differences within the species. Such variations, that is the pathway to the evolution. This type of the variation plays an important role for the evolution. Thus, to improve the chances of the continuations of species in the changing environment. So they will be need, or they have plays important role, that is the changing environment, and this changing environment is the best adapted to the survive. The changing environment is best adapted to the survive. So existence of subspecies, that is races, that is the example of genetic diversity. That is, greater the diversity, better will be sustenance. म्हणजे greater the diversity, that is the sustenance is better between it. So best example we show, that is suppose the species of the mango, more than 1,000 species of the mango will be found all over the world. Only the best example we take, that is the mango, that is the 1,000 species of the mango can be found, and more than 50,000 species of the rice as well as wheat can be found all over the world. That is the one example of this. Only the mango is the fruits, but having near about more than or as near about 1,000 species. That is the food like of the wheat as well as rice. More than 50,000 species will be found all over the world. In another case of genetic diversity, best example for it, that is the Aarote. Aarote, species name is Hometoria. This species shows they having the medicine. These are the medicinal plants which secrete the active component. These are active components, that is the respirin. These Aarote, Hometoria have ability to secrete the active component, that is respirin. When this respirin, this type of the plant will be grown into the all part of our country, that is content between it, that is in Aarote, they will be grown into the Himalaya region. If we compare to the other region, that is the chemical component and location will be changed, that is the concentration of this respirin will be differs in different regions or area of our country. So the genetic variation, genetic diversity or variability is essential for the healthy breeding. Meaning of that, that is the genetic if we observe into the genetic diversity, these are the Rauwolfia, Vimituria. These are the medicinal plants. They secretes the enzyme, that is secrete the medicine like of the respirin. If we compare these plants grown into the Himalaya region, they contain the higher concentration of this respirin, but when we compare to the other region of our country, that is this respiration concentration is differ into the different locality or as a different region. So we have need again to protect the genetic diversity or variability, the essential for healthy breeding and a population of species. Healthy breeding and population is important, so we have need to preserve it. The next point between it, that is the species diversity. After genetic diversity, we see the next point, that is the species diversities. Species diversity is nothing but the community diversity. It is also known as the community diversity. What is the species diversity? After the genetic diversity, species diversity, it is known as the interspecific diversity. It is known as the interspecific diversity. It is the interspecific diversity. The number of species of plants as well as animals that are present in a regions, it constitutes its species diversity. Here in it, that is the number of species of plants as well as animals that are present in a region. Best example we take it, that is when we are giving the Chandrapur region, there are the tigers, these are the in this forest abundant tigers will be found. So these are protected or as a prohibited area for the growth of these tigers. But in other region of our country, that is the tiger cannot be seen. So to grow these species in a particular climatic area, to provide or supply the abundant food also to these organisms, because the again having their deer, that is the growth, that is the species of the deer will be abundantly found into this, because the deer are the food for these tigers. So this diversity, species diversity will be found in particular climatic condition. We take best example like of this when we are giving visit to the our Bhandardara region, that is in Akole or as a Kalsubai. In our region, that is Maharashtra, there are the great diversity of the plants can be found. So many type of the different, that is this whole world, the plants can be found in that is in our Kalsubai region or as Bhandardara region. So species diversity will be found there, because rainfall is very high. So all type of the plants can be seen there. So climatic condition is very good for the growth of these different type of the plants. So great diversity of the plants as well as animals can be found into the Kalsubai region or as a Bhandardara region in Nagar districts. Suppose next point we see here, that is the in species diversity, they deals with the variety of species. That is variety of species can be found, that is the diversity of the species will be seen, that it deals with the richness of the species. It deals with the richness of species, even where that is number of individuals, that is different. The number of individuals in between species, these are the different. So it is known as the species evenness. Because suppose best example, one type of the plants are grown abundantly there, so many type of the intermediate variety can be seen or as a species will be seen there. So it indicates that is the diversity of species will be seen in a particular conditions. What is the diversity? Because so many plants or animals live together, they form their ecosystem of the species. So it is known as the species diversity. In species diversity, example, that is the amphibians diversity is more. That is amphibian that is live inside the water as well as above the soil. This amphibians diversity of the species will be found abundantly on the western Ghat than the eastern Ghat. म्हणजे जे काही amphibian diversity जे आहे, these are abundantly found on the western Ghat than the eastern Ghat. Because why? The natural undisturbed tropical forests have much greater species richness. Is here as an important point between it, that is the natural undisturbed tropical monoculture plantation will be found between some area for the timber production, So it will be developed a particular type of the plantation or the plant can be grown into the particular area. So in our country, that is in India, among the 15 nations, we are the rich in species diversity. If we see the whole world, India have the 15 number for the richness of their diversity, because in our country so many particular type of the conditions or as a climatic condition, temperature is varies in each and every region of our country. So the diversity is very rich in our country will be shown. The next type of it, that is after the species diversity, we see the ecological diversity. These are the third point, that is ecological diversity. Ecological diversity, it is related to the different ecosystem or as a habitats. It is related to the different ecosystem as well as a habitats with a given geographical area. These are the different ecosystems or the habitats will be found into the different geographical area. That is the large variety of the ecosystem on earth having their own complement or as a distinctive interlinked species based on the differences in the habitat. These are the interlinked species will be found their different habitats in our country, because why? It can be described for a specific geographical region. Generally, they may be one or many different type of the ecosystem in a region. If we see what are these, that is a desert. These are the ecosystem desert where the rainfall is very less. These are the desert ecosystem. Then rainforest where the abundant rainfall can be found. Then next is the deciduous forest where jala marathi मध्ये आपण पानझडी वृक्ष की where that is the leaf will be falls. पानझडी it is also known as the deciduous forest. नंतर estuaries where the sea and rivers will be meet together. नदी आणि समुद्र संगम अशा ठिकाणची एक इकोसिस्टीम तयार झालेली आहे. these are the estuaries. नंतर that is wetlands where the wetlands, then grassland ecosystem it will be found. That is when we see that is the Western Ghats shows great ecosystem diversity, while a region like Ladakh and Run of Kutch do not show variance, because why? If we observe to the Western Ghats, if we see the diversity to the Western Ghats to the Eastern Ghats, the great Western Ghats show the great diversity, but in between these regions, that is Ladakh as well as Kutch of Run, the diversity is very less or variance, lack of the species or as organism, because the climatic condition is different there. So the diversity of life at all the three levels is now rapidly being modified by modern man. So in this, if we see these, that is genetic diversity, species diversity or as a ecological diversity, the diversity of life at all these three levels is now rapidly being modified by the modern man, because why? A different need of the modern man, that is the building of the houses, roads, then development of the different sectors, different sector developments. We have need abundant land or as area between this formation of the construction, building, roads or as other sectors. So we have need large soils or as lands. So their forest will be cut, but the modern man have established their modern ecosystem, that is it may be by the planted of different type of the plants into the different regions. So to preserve, to conserve the ecosystem or as a biodiversity in each and every places. सो आता एक म्हण अशा प्रकार आहे की मनुष्य आता लोकसंख्या वाढली तसं जागृत झाला की झाडे लावा आणि झाडे जागवा. एक कॉमन जो वर्ड आहे सगळीकडे आपल्याला पाहायला मिळतो, सेव्ह ट्री सेव्ह नेशन, झाडे जागवा आणि देश वाचवा. झाडे जगवा आणि देश वाचवा हे सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचं आहे. म्हणून ज्या काही इकोसिस्टीम आहे, डिफरंट टाईप ऑफ द इकोसिस्टीम ऑर डायव्हर्सिटी ऑफ द ऑर्गॅनिझम्स विल बी फाउंड, दॅट इज स्पेसीज टू स्पेसीज, ॲनिमल्स अँड ॲनिमल्स. वी हॅव नीड टू सर्वाईव्ह, टू प्रोटेक्ट अँड टू इन्क्रीज द ecology or to increase their ecosystem in a particular climatic condition or as a particular area. If we save to this ecosystem or as a diversity, then we survive. Otherwise these are the impossible thing to survive the human being on the world or as a on the earth. Between these today only we see here, observe, that is the three type of the diversity can be seen, that is genetic diversity, species diversity, and last was the ecological diversity. Next time we see that is the pattern of the diversity. Today I complete here. Okay, thanks.